Good morning, brothers and sisters. I know that miracles happen every day. And I pray that the Heavenly Father is listening to us right now.
Yes. He knows what you're going to do before you do it, knew what you was going to do before you did it, and he'll know what you're going to do when you leave here.
On the Trey King Show.
Reverend Strickland denies the findings of MSP's 4-month investigation, a case that's now in the hands of Kalamazoo County's prosecutor, who will decide any charges. Multiple sources confirmed to Target 8 that detectives found Pastor Strickland and his wife Jasminique paid teenagers to engage in sexual acts at the Strickland's home on Kalamazoo's Prairie Avenue, a property owned by Second Baptist Church where Strickland has preached since 2012. Strickland called the allegations against him and his wife, quote, absolutely 100% false. He refused a recorded interview, but said it's really unfortunate your whole life can be destroyed by things you can't respond to.
A few years later.
The pastor of Galilee Missionary Baptist Church and a deacon are facing charges of embezzlement. Strickland and Armand Barnes are both facing one count of embezzlement for nearly $90,000 in stolen church funds. Deputies have been investigating since last October. This after the church found a large discrepancy between their books and church's bank account.
Yo, YouTube, what's going on? Trey back again to y'all with another video. Hope y'all having a very great day. Hope y'all having a very great week. My day is going absolutely wonderful. Big shout out to all the channel members and subscribers to the Trey King Show family. And much love to each and every last one of you all. And you all, we have an update to a story that I done back in August of 2021, where we had a pastor and his wife was accused, and also the pastor was arrested for paying 4 teenage boys to have sex with his wife. Now, since that time has passed, the pastor had pled out to a lesser charge, and also the wife, Jasminique Strickland, charge was dismissed due to a lack of evidence, even though, in my opinion, I think they both should have been arrested. And now, I'm not sure if you all remember that video that I done, but if you have not seen that video yet, please go check it out. And just to give you all a quick backstory of what took place with the pastor with his wife, Jasminique Strickland, it was said this incident took place back in 2015 all the way up to 2018, where the pastor was said to have paid teenage boys to have sex with his wife and also send him nude photos. Now, the pastor was officially arrested in 2020 and charged with 11 felony counts after a Michigan State Police investigation alleged he and his wife used their positions within the church and also at the Kalamazoo Public Schools to coerce the teens into having sex. Now, you got to ask yourself, family, also, what kind of person would do that? Number one, take advantage of minors. Now, for some strange reason, like I told you all a few minutes earlier, his wife, Jasminique Strickland, charge was dismissed due to a lack of evidence, even though her husband, Pastor Strickland, pleaded guilty to one count of knowingly offering to sell transportation services for the purpose of engaging in prostitution. Now, if he pled out to that charge, which happened to be a lesser charge, tell me this, family, why wasn't his wife charged also? Because how can you charge him and then not charge her? Now, fast forward just a few years later, Pastor Strickland left Kalamazoo, Michigan, and moved down to Mississippi. Now, I'm not sure if he stayed in Mount Olive, Mississippi, but that's where this story takes place at. Now, you would think that the pastor would have changed his ways because guess what? You already got in trouble, sir, and already a convicted felon for what you done in Michigan. So why take that same mess, even though this don't involve children or teenage boys, but why take that same mess and drama down to Mount Olive, Mississippi, where this story take place, where the pastor, along with his deacon Armand Barnes, was accused of embezzling money from the church. They say that the pastor, along with the deacon, stole roughly $90,000. And that's where the story take place. Now, since that has occurred, the pastor has been arrested and charged with embezzlement. Now, they launched an investigation last October into the church funds, trying to figure out where all the church fund money went. Now, the finance committee took to the books and added everything up, and they found out they was missing a lot of money. So they contacted the district attorney's office where an investigation would launch. Now, key word is this right here. This investigation took place back in October of last year. But the pastor and the deacon was arrested until March of this year. Now, you got to ask yourself this also before we break the story down. What took so long for the pastor to be arrested. Now, just a few days ago, they had members of the church outside of Galilee Missionary Baptist Church in Mount Olive, Mississippi, protesting and demanding that the pastor leave the church because he has already been convicted of a felony, which they did not even know. But the pastor did not tell the members of Galilee Missionary Baptist Church about his criminal past and letting them know that he was already charged with a sex crime. And now ask yourself this, family, what decent church people is going to want a preacher that has been convicted and charged with a sex crime preaching over them, running their church? Who is going to want that? Now, the members of this church took to the streets and demanded that the pastor resign, but the pastor refused to resign. So I want to ask you all, if a pastor has been arrested and charged with a crime in some other state, as in this case, a sex crime, shouldn't that pastor disclose that information to the church and let the church members decide if they want to hire him as a pastor or not? But why keep it a secret? Because number one, nobody in their right mind is going to hire a pastor, number one, that has been convicted of a sex crime. Because if you do, you're very crazy. But as you all will see and hear, the members of this church are demanding that the pastor leave. But once again, the pastor is refusing. Let's begin.
We want this message to go out not only in Mississippi, but throughout the United States of America. We have a problem here in southern Mississippi in a small town that we call Mount Olive. We have a pastor that have checked in at Galilee Missionary Baptist Church. Been here, I believe, less than a year, but came here knowing that he was a convicted felon from Michigan.
And now, as one of the members of Galilee Missionary Baptist Church stated, he stated that the pastor has been at this church less than a year, and we already have problems, and also a lot of missing money. But you got to ask yourself at the same time, what was the purpose of the pastor coming if you're going to come and bring drama and confusion? And they have an old saying in church that the devil is the author of what? Yeah, somebody know. Confusion. So, can't you see why these members want this pastor gone? I mean, who in their right mind wouldn't? And the fact, sir, that you've been at this church for less than a year goes to show you, maybe you need to hang your robe up and also turn in your Bible. Let's continue.
There was 11 charges filed against this pastor in terms of sex crimes. And he pleaded guilty to prostitution as well as sexual activities. Everybody knows what that means. The good people in Michigan decided that he did not have to report as a sex offender, and he made his way to Mississippi. People have no idea what his history was, but now we know.
So family, after hearing that information, tell me this. Why wasn't the pastor required and forced to register as a sex offender? Because number one, remember, he got in trouble because of his alleged involvement with teen boys paying him to have sex with his wife. So why wasn't he required to register as a sex offender? And also, as I stated in the beginning of the video, why wasn't his wife, Jasmine Strickland, arrested and charged with the crime also? Because number one, how can you charge one person for the crime if they said that two people were involved? And once again, her case was dismissed for lack of evidence, even though, as you all hear, there seems to be evidence. But ask yourself, why wasn't he required to register as a sex offender? And guess what? The people would have known off top. And also, they would have known if they would have watched my video when it first came out. Let's continue.
We gave him 48 hours on this past Tuesday to leave this church, to step down. He could have brought it to an end in those 48 hours. He decided not to do so. And so now we're going to take it to public opinion. We're going to take it to the people.
And now to the people. Do you think the pastor should step down? Do you think the pastor should resign? Because number one, he already has been convicted of a felony for a sex crime. And more than anything, he did not disclose this information to the members of Galilee Missionary Baptist Church. So, sir, you're clearly out of line. But the nerve of some people to sit up there, number one, think they can hide from their past. And this is why it pays to do the right thing. So let me ask you all this. Should the pastor step down, or should the church just move on and forgive the pastor of embezzlement and also of not telling them the truth about his past? How dare you? Anyway, let's continue.
This church is being drained. There's no more Bible study. There's no more choir rehearsal. Members are unable to come to the church in peace. It's my understanding they got folks at the front of the church deciding who can go in and who can come out. There's no way to operate and run a church.
And now to all my saints out there, all my church people, can you please explain to me why would a pastor stop the church members from having Bible study? And also, why would the pastor stop the church members from having choir practice? And also, why do the pastor have people inside the church turning people away, not letting them come inside the church when the church is open to the public? It's supposed to be a house of worship. I mean, what kind of pastor is this? And I will tell you all what kind of pastor it is. In my opinion, it's a fake pastor because no real pastor operate in this capacity. And once again, who want a man like that over them and over their church? Think about that. Let's continue.
If you notice, they got two buses here blocking people and citizens from getting to the cemetery to visit with their loved ones or place flowers on their loved one's grave. That is dictatorship. That is crazy. It just doesn't make any sense.
Now, family, why would the pastor have buses blocking the church entrance, keeping people from going to the church and also going to the cemetery? The only way they can make it to the cemetery is if they park their car on alongside this highway or also in the beginning of the driveway. But then they would have to turn around and walk clear across this field to visit their loved ones. Now, remember one thing, as this member of the church stated, that the pastor only been at Galilee Missionary Baptist Church for less than a year and already coming there trying to get his Trump on, trying to be a dictator. I mean, what kind of person are we dealing with? But the nerve of some people to sit there, number one, just came to the church and already trying to run the people. You have people who've been going to this church for years, basically grew up in this church. So the nerve of this man, Pastor Strickland that is, to come there with that type of attitude. Sir, maybe you need to leave ASAP. Let's continue.
We all know what false leadership is. We all understand what false leadership is. That is false leadership right there. We understand what false leadership is. Get a good picture of this. We'll shut up and we'll let her talk. We'll get a good picture of it.
And now, family, as you all see, the pastor pulled up with some woman. That woman does not look like Jasmine Strickland. So let me ask you all this for my people who are familiar with Jasmine Strickland and also Pastor Flora Strickland. Are they still together? Are they still married? Or did she leave them and go be with somebody else? Because that doesn't look like the same woman. Now, the nerve of the pastor along with this lady to pull up like that while these people are out protesting. The nerve of some people. Now, you got to think about this also. Now, instead of the pastor just leaving, he'll pull up and try to argue with the folks about the reason why he's not going to leave the church. Talk about the nerve of some people. I mean, what kind of world we live in this day where a pastor can be convicted and sentenced to prison, sentenced to jail, that is, for a year, keep a secret, move down south to Mississippi, Mount Olive, that is, and withhold that secret, don't tell the people anything, been at this church less than a year, and already in less than a year, $90,000 have came up missing. Who wouldn't want this man gone? I don't even go to the church, and guess what? I want him gone. Let's continue.
When you 80 to 90% of the people in the church want a pastor to leave the church, and that pastor would not leave, apparently he can't go somewhere else and get another job.
And now, family, as you heard one of the members of the church state, he stated that 80 to 90% of the people want Pastor Strickland gone. If that's not enough reason to leave, I don't know what the hell is. But think about this. Here it is. We have a pastor, and the majority of the church want him to step down, but he would not step down. So let me ask you all this before we close this video up. Why won't the pastor step down? Why won't the pastor leave? Is it because he cannot preach nowhere else? Is it because his business is already out there? And now think about this before we close up. None of this would have came out about the pastor's criminal past if he didn't get arrested for embezzling money from the church. Talk about not learning your lesson. But guess what, though? Sooner or later, your past will catch up with you. Let's close up.
Your contract has expired.
Yes, sir.
And if your contract has expired, why are you here?
You must
You
go.
don't own the church. The deeds belong to the people. Yeah. So, let's pray, y'all. that God will move this person, this speculant out this church right now.
And now in closing, family, answer me this. So in order for a pastor to come be over church, to come preach at a church, he have to have a contract with the church? I didn't know that. I just thought they just come preach and they get paid. I didn't know they signed contracts and all that. But if the pastor contract expired like the member of the church stated, why won't he leave? And also adding to that point, you got 80 to 90% of the members of the church want you gone. And also adding to that point, here it is, you are a convicted felon for a sex offense. And also, you did not tell the members about your criminal past. And then you come to this church, being at this church less than a year, and $90,000 had came up missing on your watch and also on Deacon Armand Barnes' watch. Who wouldn't want this man gone? So in closing, let me ask you all this once again. Should the pastor leave? Or should the church forgive the pastor and move on? But I'm going to tell you this right here. It's hard to move on from something like this when somebody keep a secret like that from you. How can you trust them? Would you trust a person like that? Think about that. Anyway, if you all like the video, push that like button. If you like the video, subscribe to the channel. Become a channel member. Also share the video with your family and friends. Till next time, you all stay blessed. And I will see y'all soon on next Trey King Show. And guess what? I'm out.